The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Cassandra Ares, one of our amazing contributors, and we have been absolutely giggling. So please excuse us today because it's been a very interesting beginning to this podcast. She is a dynamic blend of corporate leader and intuitive guide, seamlessly balancing boardroom strategy with spiritual insight. As a numerologist and intuitive channel, she integrates her gifts into all aspects of life, from business to psychic circles. She values faith and humor, empowering others to face their fears and embrace authenticity. Her mission is to guide people toward self-liberation through awareness and self-forgiveness while helping them find true freedom. Welcome back, Cass.
Thank you.
Yes, we are exploring fear, anger, and jealousy, which is our February new moon issue. And in your article, Call Me Emotional One More Time and Watch What I Build, you share how one man's feedback became a catalyst for reclaiming your emotional leadership and redefining what power truly looks like, not only for you, but for others. So for those who haven't read your article yet, why don't you share a little bit more about what happened and why you wrote it?
Yeah, absolutely. So many years ago, this sort of started the trajectory of where I've ended up, right? And so there was an individual during a promotional process. There was a new role I really wanted. And I think I can speak for a lot of us where we get excited about something we want to move into career-wise. And it feels as though because we are women and we are labeled emotional, or we have very strong emotions and we're very aware of them, that all of a sudden that's a bad thing. And so it's brought up in performance reviews potentially, or when you go for that promotion, we can talk more about how it actually wasn't even me they were talking about, but they mixed us up. So I think just recognizing, especially in this piece, that was sort of the catalyst to just the immense expansion that my energy has taken, more than triple what I made in that role or would have made in that role now. I am so well aware of how jealousy, anger, fear specifically actually give me data points versus run my life. And I think that's really what we could probably talk more about, right? Sometimes anger just lights that fire so you get something done and you make something work that was giving you a hard time, right? And so overall, I think that's really what I wanted to share in that article is that these emotions that oftentimes have this brand of negativity on them are actually our superpowers.
Yes. And how our emotions aren't flaws, right? I think that so often
Correct.
we as women in the corporate world are so afraid to be emotional or be called emotional because of how we have been taught to show up in leadership. And I think that when we, as women, do fall into that emotional categories, I mean, if you just look at our cycle, we have 4 different weeks every single cycle, period cycle, menstrual cycle, that we're going to be different women. We're going to be creative, then we're going to be more, withdrawn and go within, or, sometimes we'll be more task oriented. So to expect us to not have waves of emotions, in my opinion, is just, so frustrating, especially when you're in the corporate world, because we can have emotions, but we don't have to have the reactivity piece to it. It's how we deliver ourselves or respond versus react in the work environment. And so, what do you think the difference is between emotional reactivity and emotional sovereignty?
I think the difference is very clear. It's allowing yourself to feel through the emotions in a safe way. Not talking about, and we've seen this oftentimes in men, but it can also be in women in the workplace, where they come into a meeting and immediately you feel the anger and it comes out in terse language that's hurtful, that isn't really productive, right? Versus taking some time to process, even if it's in the moment, recognizing, ooh, that just made me really defensive. That made me very angry. That feedback they just gave me is not sitting well. Okay, so if I sort of feel through that and then ask myself, get curious about it, right? What is this actually telling me? Am I really angry because of what they're saying? Or am I angry because I put so much energy into this project and I just want it to be done? Or am I angry that, they are saying something that I've already said, and so the anger is a data point that's telling me that I'm right because I am being gaslit or whatever it may be. Either way, I think the difference is that when it's healthy emotion, we use it as a data point and we allow ourselves to feel, whereas oftentimes we're told to repress it. And that is where the reactivity comes in. That's where it gets ugly. That's where it gets uncomfortable. That's where you walk into a room and you're like, oh, those two people just had it out. And it feels icky. When you actually pay attention to what the emotion feels like in your body and you get curious about it, maybe not in the moment, but being emotionally aware enough, energetically aware enough to say, ooh, I'm feeling some type of way about this. I think I need 5 minutes. Could we come back and talk about this after that? It's not going to end the corporate world to take 5 minutes. In fact, when I do that now, people look at it as a permission slip to also feel their feelings. So now you're creating where people can finally take a breath to move through it and then make decisions that have both risk and opportunity equally within them to say, okay, now how are we going to move forward?
Yeah. And what a concept, right? To take 5 minutes.
That was a really long.
No, I'm just like, gosh, in the corporate world, taking 5 minutes or asking for a break or a breather and to feel into a situation is almost so taboo. And I really am wondering, when did you realize your style of emotional leadership wasn't actually a liability, but more of a signature? And I know you have created a signature program called Internal around this. So maybe you could also elaborate a little bit on that as well.
Yeah, so I think the moment in the article was really when I realized this is not, oftentimes we talk about how sensitivity is a superpower. Okay, but let's take that another level. All of the energy and the motion that we feel, I was like, no, this is wrong here. What happened here, and if you read the article, you'll get all those little gory details, what happened here happens to so many other people. And it doesn't feel good and it doesn't make us productive. And so what am I going to shift now? And from that position, I went to a completely different career and I showed up authentically and I pushed back where I needed to. And I spoke my mind when I was frustrated. And that was the immediate stepping stone. That was the enough. This is enough. I'm not going to let anybody, it doesn't matter, man, woman, it does not matter to me. I'm not going to let them tell me that my emotion is not wrong. Feedback on maybe when I'm showing and sharing in the moment, and that anger is actually, causing people to fall into themselves, that's different. We all have those moments still. We're all human. We feel a contrast, but But I do think that was the moment. And then it led me sort of, for those who don't know me, I am a numerologist. I'm certified in a certain type of numerology. And that led me to think, yeah, but how do we bring that into the corporate world? How do we bring that into leadership? Because ultimately, our internal energetics that we have are what we're portraying to the outside world. It's how we experience the outside world, but everything is inside of us. So from that perspective, I created this internal leadership blueprint. And so it masks, I don't talk about the numerology behind it, but it's the energetic learnings through all of that. There's some chakra healing in there. Sure, there's some essence of human design and the pieces of leadership framework that I bring in. I'm not going to pretend like I can speak to all of those things. There are many people in this community who can do that. But from a numerology perspective, it aligns so well to these different type of leadership archetypes. And the work that I've done, not only with executives, but with ICs, is career planning. It's how do I work with really tough individuals, right? The perception is the other person is the problem, whereas it's a mixture of energetics. Well, what's your stress response pattern and what's theirs? And if they're the same thing, holy moly, like we need to look into that. What's that issue there? And so internal really helps you map on how you experience the world and how you experience yourself. And then it allows you to branch off and identify, oh, this is how I deal with relationship with other people. And here's why, oh, that's my blind spot. That's why I'm reacting that way in that moment. What can I shift so I feel safe, right? And sovereign and aligned, even though I know I can't change that other person. Ultimately, when you take your internal energetics and you live in authenticity with them and act through them in a way that is, aware. Right? We talk a lot about awareness with our energetics. You see the shift in every relationship, every conversation you have.
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about this, if you can tell.
I love it. No. And I'd love for you to share the example. I've heard an example from you before about a boss and an employee situation and how you helped them have a better working relationship. So why don't you share a little bit about how internal worked for them?
Yeah, it's interesting because this relationship is still something that I see, on a weekly basis. And it is still a bit of a struggle, but now they're more aware of how each other sort of reacts. And so initially, a manager came to me and she said, I have this employee and all they do is complain. They complain. They never come to me with options. It's just constant complaining. And I am at the end of my rope. I don't know how to deal with them. And so I looked at both of their leadership archetypes, their blueprints, right? And I said, I know you say that she complains to you all the time, but it's actually her superpower. That's literally what she's supposed to do. She assesses risk and she brings it to you. She doesn't even necessarily care if you take it or not. She just sees it and she has to communicate it. But she also has some issues with communication where it may come off a little messy, a little fumbled, right? And through the numerology and the leadership frameworks, you can see that, right? And so she's just telling you so that you can then make the appropriate decision. But what you really want is for people to come with a solution. And so there's an opportunity here for you to say, hey, when you bring these risks to me, can you think about some actions for what we should do moving forward? And that has shifted their dynamic for her to see, yes, does she still get annoyed? There are many other things in her chart with why she gets annoyed with feedback, right? And so she still has that. And from time to time, you can even see it in our team, team dynamics, right? But ultimately, their communication is so much better that now they have more trust to say, hey, you're doing that thing again where you're coming with all these risks and I really appreciate it. And also I need solutions. And so what could have ended up being a very, something that escalated to HR, who knows? Now there's a working dynamic where people are seeing each other as people. And for the risk identification and for the, I'm a manager and here's my role to coach, for the things that I know are also going to make them better. And if they in their career want to become a leader one day, these are the things they're going to have to solution and help to do that. So it's really cool to see it. And they're like, how did you do this with not knowing us for years? And I'm like, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I'm so triggered. Oh my gosh. Okay, you said this could have led to HR. And I'm like, this is what really frustrates me about the corporate world is so many people are so quick to be like, they're doing this wrong. They're too much of this, all of these things. When in reality, it's a communication issue. And if we have frameworks like your internal leadership blueprint, where a woman or a man or they are not labeled as too much of something or lacking in something. And clearly, it's just a way that our two energies are having a mismatch at that moment. And how can we come together? I think all of us would stop abandoning ourselves or labeling others in a way that would create shrinking and rather allow us to expand.
I think that's the whole point, right? Is that we have to take what feels like radical responsibility for our internal energetics. We have to take responsibility for that, especially as leaders, whether it's a leader in your family, it's a leader in decision makings about a softball team, it's a leader, for your toddler who's running around with no clothes on. And you're like, you have to put clothes on if you want your kids on, it's a leader for a team. Like we have to take responsibility that we lead in our lives. And if we are just, there's a term I wanted to use, but I'm not going to. If we're just flying by the seat of our pants, not knowing what our internal energetics are, that's where blame of all the external comes in. That's where victim mindset has the potentiality to take hold. And we don't even see it because it's easier to blame on other things. And in the corporate world, I have literally no patience for it because a manager's job is to be a servant leader, in my opinion. There may be folks on this call who are like, absolutely not. In my opinion, if you're in a management position, your number one priority is making sure the people on your team grow. Period. I don't care if you're crunching numbers. I don't care if you're flipping hot dogs and burgers. I literally don't care. If you are a manager, you are in a leadership role, you are a servant leader. Number one priority should be growing your people. And if you don't know your energetics, how in the heck are you going to do that?
And if you're afraid to grow your people, red flag, huge red flag, right? Because when I was in the corporate leadership world, I'm still in leadership with my team. However, I hold a totally different role now. But I've always thought of my team as my equal, meaning I don't feel I'm better than them. I don't feel I need to micromanage them. Once my team, if they're good and they know what's going on and they know what their role is and things are clear, I just need to trust that things get done on time. And when they don't, then we have a conversation about that, right? And I think that is sometimes what is missing in these leadership roles is this hierarchy. I'm over you. I'm better than you. I own you. I get to tell you what to do. No, if they are clear about their goals and expectations, they should be able to run their lives and their work schedule how they want. That's why we don't have actual work days and times in this business, Sovereign Magazine, because I don't believe in that. Everybody has a different flow of energetics. And when you're working in complete alignment, guess what? You're more productive. My team is so productive. They are so happy. I just got my team survey back. I do it twice a year. 10s across the board. And all the comments were, I hope I get to work here forever. basically. Because they were like, this is the life that I want. This is the life I have dreamt of. I didn't know this life existed. But why? Because I'm choosing to run a business in complete flow and alignment, and the team is never afraid to share things with me. For example, we are re-recording this podcast because the last file got corrupted, and the team was so worried to tell me. And I'm like, nope, there's a reason why. And guess what? We found out the reason why. 4 files got corrupted. One of them, I recorded the wrong podcast for the wrong month. So thank goodness we caught that. And the second one was that the other podcast came out so much better. She was in such better alignment. It all works out for the best. But the way that I responded to that quote unquote crisis was you just apologize for the issue to your clients like I did to you, and we move on. The team didn't need to feel bad about it. Why am I there? There was nothing. I mean, nothing. That's just, it's
Right.
what it is, right? Anyway, I could go on and on about leadership. And I know I want to save time for you and how we can get into a better space with being called emotional and fear and anger and jealousy in this leadership role. You're going to be doing, I'm going to move us into Steps to Our Sovereign Self, because in Steps to Your Sovereign Self, the beautiful Cass is going to do a guided visualization for you today so that you can come back into your sovereignty and really resist if you've abandoned yourself and been told you're too much, right? I'm going to hand it over to you, Cass. It is time to rise. We are being called to stand behind independent voices, movements, and media that refuse to be owned. Sovereign Magazine has never spoken to an advertiser, a corporation, or a billionaire. We are a grassroots movement made for and funded by you. If you are ready to rise, to shatter ceilings, and to stand in your truth, do it with us. It's free. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share. Every click helps us reach more people around the globe, ready to remember who they are. Are you coming with us?
Perfect. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I do believe, I always say, grab a journal or a napkin or whatever is good for you to write down. We will be going into a visualization, not a total meditation. So I'm not going to get you completely into alpha state, but I do want you to be able to open your eyes and write things down as they come to you, as they feel aligned and just very important. That's the whole point of this exercise. So feel free to come back to it. Feel free to listen to it if you are driving. Just don't close your eyes when I say close your eyes. Let us be smart about what we're doing here. All right, great. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'd like to leave you with a guided reflection. You can call it a 3-minute meditation, a micro coaching session, or maybe just a breath of space to meet yourself differently. We're going to move through a few big emotions: jealousy, anger, and fear. But not in a way that hijacks your nervous system. You're not going to relive anything. That to be very clear. We're not going to spiral back into the pain or reactivate the trauma. I want this to be an observation for you. Call it a witnessing. Think of it like a dashboard for your inner world, and these emotions are data points. And what do we do with data? We observe it. We trend it, we use it to grow, and that's what we're going to do here. We're not going to spiral or drown in the pain again. Just notice the signals your body is sending with safety, with clarity, and with compassion. And so, let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to close your eyes and go ahead and take a deep belly breath. Let the breath move all the way down into your belly. Let it move slowly through you, like it's mopping up the static from your day so far. Loosen that jaw. Let your hands unclench. And again, let your eyes soften or close only as it feels safe. Feel the ground beneath you, whether it's your chair, your feet, or your spine. You are here, you are safe, and this is now. If anything begins to feel intense, just come back to this moment. Feel the texture of the seat beneath you. You can wiggle your toes. Notice 3 things in the room. You're not back in the moment. You are here now, and you're okay. And now go ahead and think of a moment, past or recent, where one of these emotions surfaced. Jealousy, anger, fear. Let it come forward, but this time you're not inside it. You're looking at it from across the table, like a scientist, like the sovereign that you are, like someone who knows how to use what they feel. And just observe. What happened? What triggered the rise to this emotion? And maybe most importantly, where did it land in your body? Noticing is enough. Now I'll walk through questions you can ask yourself about each of these emotions. Let's start with jealousy. What did I long for in that moment? And what felt unavailable that I deeply desired? For anger, what boundary was crossed? And what truth was dismissed or ignored? And finally, for fear, what was I trying to protect? What did I believe I might lose? There's no need to explain it away. Just trend the emotion. Let it show you something useful, because there is something useful in this. And if anything feels too much, again, pause. Come back to your breath, back to your seat. You're not in the emotion. You are in your power, simply looking at it. And now if you're in a space to write, you can gently open your eyes, grab your journal, open your notes app. And after I give you this prompt, feel free to pause the audio. But start with this. This emotion, jealousy, anger, fear, is showing me. And let your truth spill. Unfiltered, honest, even if it's messy, especially if it's messy. Right? Like no one's going to read it, because guess what? No one is, except for you. And you're the only one that needs to see it. And now, take a final breath. Breathe it deep into your belly. And on that exhale, let everything go that you need to. Jealousy doesn't make you petty. It makes you aware. Anger doesn't make you reactive. It makes you aligned. And fear does not make you fragile. It makes you honest. And those emotions are all feedback. They're not our enemy. They're simply the invitation. You don't have to lead like anyone else. You don't have to harden. You don't have to silence or suppress. Least of all, perform. You just have to listen to what's already true. And that, love, is the very step to your sovereign self.
Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. Okay, if you have taken Cass's invitation, I know she would love to hear from you. So hop into community.sovereign-magazine.com and share with her what came through. Also, all of her details are in the show notes. And if you want more from her, she's going to be coming back for another episode. So definitely like, share, subscribe. And one more thing, we're going to be doing a year-long show in 2026. So if you aren't on our YouTube and Substack channels, definitely subscribe there to get all of her incredible wisdom and knowledge. All right. Thank you, my love, for being here today and making me laugh.
Always.
Yes.
Always here for all of the laughter and joy.
Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.